a bouncing ball in 10 seconds, and then 1 minute, then 10 minutes, then 1 hour, and finally 10 hours. And by today I mean over the next few days, because the 10 hours won't be in one sitting. You might have seen my 10-hour walk cycle video, so this is that but with a bouncing ball. I don't know if that's going to be more challenging because it's sort of a more simple thing in theory. I think the 10-second one is going to require more frames because the walk cycle was only 2 frames. I could just have the apex of the ball on the ground, but that won't be a very convincing motion. But it's a simple circle, so... Alright, I'm just gonna go for it, so 10 seconds starting now. Circle. Falling. Falling harder. Squishing. Coming back up. Here. Here. Okay. What was that decision making at the end? So I had no stretch on the way back up, but I have some hang time. Alright, let's see what this looks like. Huh, that's interesting. I think that's pretty good for 10 seconds. It's a bouncing ball. It definitely gives the impression of a bouncing ball, I think. 7 frames is pretty good. That's like a frame every 1.3 seconds, or 1.42, 1.43. 1 minute. That is kind of an awkward time period. I can't really do anything fancy. I guess it'll be like the 10-second vibe, but just cleaner, better timing. Let's start. Okay, starting to fall. I don't know about that, but we'll go with it. Right now, squishing. It's got a little bit of the old tail. Okay, squish some more. I don't know about the volumetrics on that. Got 20 seconds left. I think this is going as it should. I don't know exactly where it was at the apex. The middle was probably in the very middle. Got 6 seconds. I did time this kind of perfectly, I think. I don't know if it ended up in the right spot. Alright, 13 frames. It's an upgrade. Let's see what this looks like. I'm kind of nervous about the hang time. Okay. Huh. Well, yeah, it kind of pauses too heavily at the top, but it's pretty cool. Very squishy ball. I think if I literally just remove a frame, that'll improve it. Honestly, that improves it so much. Can I count that as the finished product? I guess the only thing is it's a bit slow. Well, it's not the only thing, but... yeah, not too bad for a 1 minute ball bounce. I see the progression happening. Alright, since I have 10 minutes, I'm going to do pretty much the same thing, except timing's going to be good, the volume's going to be maybe more consistent. Hopefully this just looks like a more clean and realistic ball bounce. Doesn't have to be realistic, it can be exaggerated. Most importantly, nice to look at. 10 minutes starting now. Okay, we're going to have it drop from the top. Volume's looking a little sus. It's speeding up very rapidly. So next frame, it's on the ground. If I have time, I'll do a cleanup layer and maybe color it, but no promises. I feel like this 10 minutes is gonna go faster than I expect it to. Do one more squish frame, then we'll unsquish. Go back to ball shape-ish. I gotta make sure I know where it's actually ending up. 3 minutes have gone. That seems reasonable. I should remember that it's not going all the way back up to where it was. Yeah, I can do multiple bounces in this. I could probably do like 3 bounces. All right, a little bit of hang time. And then come back down. This is gonna be an interesting frame. I don't know if it'll look good at all. The amount of squish is maybe a bit much, but always gotta exaggerate. Of course it'll have to get less extreme on each bounce. Is it maintaining the same size? Kind of. Where was the apex last time? To go a little bit lower than that. Alright, I've made the ball a little too small. 255. It's not getting as squished this time because it's running out of steam. One more bounce and then one tiny bounce and it kind of comes to a rest. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, I'm not doing a clean and coloring layer. I'm gonna hopefully just make this look decent, physics-wise. Okay, the size is kind of consistent. The line work is not consistent, but whatever. 15 seconds. I should probably see if the timing's good. 5 seconds, I guess I can't do anything. Done. Right, here's my 10-minute ball bounce. Interesting. Not half bad. Obviously better than the last two, I would think. I should hope. I'm watching it in 12 FPS. I want to see that in 24. I might like that better. Either way, pretty good. The rate of the bounce slowing down is kind of inaccurate, I think. I haven't looked up how much lower the height of the bounce should get with each bounce, which would depend on what the ball's made of, so whatever. There should be a consistency to the differences themselves. Who cares? I guess it's time to move on to the 1 hour ball bounce challenge. I wanted to have this one bounce across the screen instead of just on the spot, so I started by making a circle and laying out the path it should follow. Then I can use a motion guide to tween it along the path. This is just a reference that I'm going to draw over the top of later. I am adjusting the easing so it speeds up as it gets closer to the ground and slows down as it reaches its full height. After everything looks right, I can start drawing the real thing. You want the ball to stretch more the further it falls and squash when it hits the ground, then it goes back to normal at the height of its bounce. After about 12 minutes of that, I had a pretty solid baseline. Then I decided to add extra frames on the landings and eventually had something I was happy with. Then it was time to do a simple background and color the ball frame by frame. Now for shading the ball. The light was going to be coming from the upper right, so I added a darker, slightly redder shadow in the bottom left. Basically eyeballing where it should go on each frame. Not bad. But I still have 20 minutes left, so why not add a shadow on the ground? I started drawing it frame by frame, but then I realized that was just too time consuming and a lot harder to adjust. So I undid all of that and just used an oval and motion tweened it. I kind of didn't know what I was doing with this, so I'm not thrilled with how the shadow turned out, but it's passable. Well, a clear upgrade from 10 minutes. Like I said, the shadow seems a bit off. I could have done that a lot faster or just skipped it. Then I might have worked on the background more or added a highlight to the ball. But as a whole, I think this looks pretty nice. Right, moving on to the 10-hour ball bounce. I started this the same way as the 1 hour ball with the motion path from left to right, but this time it was going to bounce back off a tree and go down a hole. So I spent a while getting the timing and spacing just right and moved on to drawing the ball, which was the same process again. I tried different patterns, but I figured it had to be simple enough that I could draw it like 100 times, with rotations and squashing and stretching. So I thought this line down the middle was good enough for now. I had it rotating one way, then the opposite once it bounced back. I wasn't sure if the spin should change directions, but it looks right to me. Now I'm shading it just like the 1 hour version, but using a mask in semi-transparent dark blue. This background right here is a placeholder, just so I know where things are, and I have a puddle here where I want to animate a splash from the ball. I looked at one reference video, but mostly made it up as I went. So now I'm just adding 2 more stripes to the ball and a bunch of dirt particles coming off this tree. I don't think it looks particularly good, but it's harmless. Then I thought I should have the ball come in from another tree and a leaf could fall out with it. I want the whole thing to loop, so I can do that by making the leaf fall down the hole. After animating the leaf, I realized it sucked and used a motion guide instead, just using a circle as a placeholder. Once that looked good, I drew over each frame with an actual leaf and tried to make it flow somewhat naturally. I wanted to have something on top of the ball that would like bounce off when it hit the ground, so I went with a spider using the motion guide technique again, and I made it disappear into the puddle so it could loop. So RIP maybe, but maybe not. Now it's time to make the full background. Better to do it now so I can fix it later if need be. So the front is a more detailed and, dare I say, pretty version of what I had. Also, definitely a lot more going on in the back. I spent 1.5 hours on this, but I'm actually going to come back to it later. So with the background looking nice, I started adding a cast shadow for the ball. Then I added a reflection in the water by turning the ball upside down and half transparent.